Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. It's so good to have you here with us today. If you're listening while walking, cooking, studying, or relaxing somewhere, thank you for letting us be part of your English practice. I'm really happy you clicked on this episode because today's topic is one of the most powerful skills you can ever learn for your English: how to memorize new words through stories, through graded readers, and through real-life examples that make English feel natural and alive. And trust me, today's episode is going to feel warm, slow, friendly, and very real. So yeah, welcome back. I'm excited.
And I'm excited too. I know a lot of learners struggle with vocabulary. They feel like they forget words fast. They learn a word today, and tomorrow it's gone. They try to memorize 10 words a day, and maybe only 2 stay. And honestly, it's normal. It's totally normal. Every language learner goes through this. Even native speakers forget words sometimes. But what matters is you're here, improving, listening, and giving yourself the tools to grow. That already puts you ahead. So, welcome back, friends. Let's spend this time together and make vocabulary feel simple and natural.
So today we're talking about learning words through stories. And I want to start with something that always surprises people. You know what it is? When you hear a word inside a story, your brain remembers it faster. Your brain actually relaxes. Instead of thinking, oh no, I must memorize this, it thinks, oh, I get it. I see how the word is used. That makes sense. And suddenly the word becomes warm, friendly, and familiar. It becomes a friend.
Exactly. And that's why graded readers are so powerful. They take real English but make it simple. They make the story interesting, but they use vocabulary that you can understand. And here's the best part. When you hear the same word again and again in a story, your brain absorbs it naturally. You don't even realize you're learning. You're just enjoying the story. It's like magic English. You take in meaning without pressure.
And that's the goal today. We want to show you how to absorb vocabulary naturally without stress. And I think a good way to do that is to tell a simple story together. And while we tell it, we'll repeat keywords naturally, inside the story, inside the conversation, inside real sentences, so you learn without feeling like you're studying.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's make it fun.
All right, so here's a simple story, a graded reader-style story that anyone at any level can follow. And as you listen, don't think about memorizing. Just imagine pictures in your mind. Let the story play like a movie. Ready?
Let's begin.
There was a man named Leo. Leo lived in a small town near the coast. Every morning, he woke up early, around 6 a.m., and he always started his day the same way. He made a cup of warm tea and sat outside on his small wooden balcony. He liked the quiet. He liked the soft sound of the wind, and he liked watching the sky change colors as the sun slowly rose.
Leo's favorite part of the morning was something very simple. He loved reading. Every morning, he read a few pages of a short story. Not a long book, not a big novel, just a few pages. A small graded reader. One day, the story he was reading was about a boy who found a lost dog on the street. The boy tried to help the dog, but the dog was scared, nervous, and shaking. And Leo liked this story because it felt warm. It felt kind. It made him smile.
And here's a key word: lost. The dog is lost. Many learners think lost only means you can't find your phone or you can't find your key. But lost can also describe people, animals, and even feelings. Stories help you learn that naturally. Leo didn't study the word lost. He just read it in the story. And because he saw the dog trembling, looking confused, the meaning became real.
And here's another word the story used: rescue. The boy wanted to rescue the dog, and that word became meaningful. Rescue, to save, to help someone in danger. But Leo didn't open a dictionary. He didn't study a list of verbs. He just understood it from the feeling of the story.
That's the magic of graded readers. They teach without teaching. You learn without forcing. The story becomes your teacher, and your brain does the work for you.
So now, imagine Leo reading this story every morning. And every time he saw the words lost, rescue, nervous, safe, care, warm, and trust, they became more and more familiar. He didn't memorize them. He absorbed them, like sunlight.
And the same will happen to you. If you hear the same word in context, your brain says, oh, yes, I know this, and it becomes yours forever. which is why listening to stories like this podcast is one of the best ways to build strong English.
And sometimes Leo read the same story twice, not because he forgot, but because each time he read it, he noticed something new. And that's another powerful vocabulary technique, rereading. When you reread, you don't feel lost. You feel confident. You feel strong. And vocabulary sticks even deeper.
So now let's continue the story. After reading about the boy and the dog, Leo closed his book and smiled. He thought about kindness. He thought about connection, and he thought about how simple actions can change someone's day. And during his walk back home, Leo saw something interesting. He saw a small old woman standing near the bus stop. She was holding a big bag of groceries. The bag was too heavy for her, and she looked tired. So Leo walked up to her and asked, "Would you like some help?" And she smiled and said, "Yes, please."
And there we go, another natural vocabulary moment. Words like grocery, heavy, help, carry, and bus stop become real through stories and pictures. You don't memorize, you imagine, you feel, you remember.
And when Leo carried the woman's groceries to her home, she thanked him and gave him a small cookie as a gift. And he laughed because the cookie was warm and sweet. And that simple moment stayed with him. It made his day brighter.
And this is where vocabulary becomes emotional. When a word is connected to emotion, kindness, happiness, surprise, you remember it forever.
And that's why today's lesson is about using stories to learn English. Not long textbooks, not long lists, but moments, pictures, feelings, characters, emotions. That's how real language grows.
So let's talk about how you can take this idea and use it at home. Because listening to stories is one thing, but building a natural routine is what really helps your vocabulary grow stronger day by day. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to take hours. It just needs to be something simple that you can repeat, something that fits into your real life, something that feels good instead of stressful.
One of the easiest things you can do is choose one small graded reader or one simple story and read just 1 or 2 pages a day. Not 10 pages, not 20 pages, just 1 or 2. The magic isn't in reading fast. The magic is in reading consistently. And when you read slowly, you start to notice words that repeat. You start to catch patterns. Your brain starts to relax and say, "Oh, I know this. I've seen this before." And that feeling is what makes vocabulary stick.
And there's something important here. You don't need to understand 100%. You only need to understand enough to follow the story. If you understand the basic idea, your brain will fill in the rest. You don't need to stop every time you see a new word. You don't need to translate. You don't need a dictionary right away. In fact, it's better if you don't. Because reading without stopping keeps your thinking in English. It keeps the story alive.
And honestly, when you stop too much to look up words, the story breaks, the feeling breaks, the connection breaks. So instead, just keep going. Let the story pull you forward. If a word appears again later, which it will, you'll understand it more clearly next time. And after a few repetitions, it becomes yours naturally.
And that's why we wanted today's episode to feel like a story too. Because your brain learns best when it is relaxed, curious, and connected to something meaningful. And that's what stories do. They make English warm. They make words alive. They make learning peaceful instead of stressful.
And sometimes what really helps is hearing the same structure again and again. So let's continue the story, but now with a little more detail. And as you listen, I want you to imagine everything clearly. The colors, the sounds, the textures, the emotions. The clearer the picture in your mind, the stronger the vocabulary memory becomes.
After Leo helped the old woman with her groceries, he continued walking through his town. And something about that moment stayed with him. He felt lighter. He felt grateful. He felt connected to the world around him. And he thought about how simple actions, a smile, a question, a helping hand, can make life feel richer.
And while walking, he passed his favorite bookstore. It was small, quiet, and full of soft yellow light. And the moment he stepped inside, he smelled old paper and fresh coffee from the little cafe corner. And right there, in the front of the store, he saw a new set of graded readers displayed on a wooden table. Simple stories, beautiful covers, warm colors. And he felt excited.
He picked up a book called The Garden of Small Wonders. It had a picture of a tiny green sprout growing in the middle of stones. And that picture made him smile. He opened the book and read the first few lines. They were simple, clear, peaceful. The kind of English that feels good in your mind. The kind you want to keep reading.
And he bought it without even thinking twice. He went home, sat on his balcony again, and opened the book with a sense of calm. And the story started like this. In the center of the village, there was a small garden. It was not big, it was not beautiful, but it was loved. And Leo felt relaxed. Words like center, village, garden, small, beautiful, loved, all appeared naturally. Words that learners often know, but don't always feel deeply. But inside a story, they feel real.
And the main character of the story was a girl named Nina. Mina visited the garden every afternoon because she loved watching things grow. She loved seeing how something tiny, almost invisible, could slowly become something strong, green, and alive. And that image helps vocabulary stick. Growth, change, time, nature. These ideas help your mind remember.
And one day in the story, Mina found a little box under a tree. The box was old, dusty, and had a small metal keyhole. She tried to open it, but it wouldn't open. So she took it to her grandfather. And he looked at it with wide eyes and said, "This box is special." And when Leo read that, he felt curious. And curiosity is one of the strongest forces for memorizing.
And Leo kept reading, slowly, page by page. And every time a word repeated, he felt more confident. He didn't feel like he was studying. He felt like he was entering a small world. And that is how vocabulary enters your long-term memory, through worlds, through emotions, through images.
And the same thing can happen for you. And right now, as you listen to this story, your brain is doing the same thing. It's catching patterns, it's connecting words with feelings, it's building memories based on images and emotions, and you don't even need to force it. It's happening naturally.
So let's continue the story again. Mina's grandfather told her that the box belonged to someone who lived in the village many years ago. And that person used to plant seeds all around the village. Seeds of flowers, seeds of herbs, seeds of fruit trees. But one day, the person disappeared, and the box was never opened again.
And Mina became curious. She wanted to know what was inside. She spent days searching for a key. She asked people in the village. She looked in the garden. She looked near the river. She looked under stones. She looked everywhere. And every time the story repeated the word search, Leo remembered it more clearly. Search. Look. Try. Explore. When a word appears in different emotional scenes, your memory grows stronger.
And finally, one afternoon, Mina saw a small shining object in the dirt near the roots of a big tree. It was a tiny golden key, and she felt excited. She ran home, shaking a little because she couldn't wait to open the box. And when she opened it, she found 3 tiny envelopes. Each envelope had one word written on it: hope, patience, kindness.
And inside each envelope was a small seed, just one.
And Mina realized something. The person who planted seeds around the village didn't plant flowers. They planted values. They planted lessons. They planted reminders that good things grow slowly and beautifully.
And when Leo read that part, he felt something warm in his chest. And that emotional connection made the vocabulary unforgettable. Words like hope, patience, kindness, seed, value, slowly, beautifully. He didn't memorize them, he absorbed them.
And this is what we want for you too. That when you listen to English, you feel something. Because when you feel something, you remember.
And now let's bring everything together before we wrap up today. You can learn vocabulary naturally if you read or listen to small stories every day. You don't need to memorize lists. You don't need to study in a painful way. You just need to bring English into your daily rhythm. A few minutes each day, something warm, something simple, something that feels like a friend, not a test.
And honestly, that's why we make this podcast for you. So you have something human, warm, slow, friendly, and natural to listen to. Something that helps you understand English without pressure. Something that helps you grow without stress. Something that makes learning feel like a part of life.
And before we end, let's give you something small to do today. Very small. Choose one short story, one page, one graded reader, or even replay the story we told today. Listen again. Notice new words. Let them repeat naturally. Let them grow like seeds in your mind.
Because every word you learn is a seed. And every time you hear it again, that seed grows taller, stronger, and more beautiful.
And we'll keep doing this together, day by day, episode by episode, story by story.
Thank you for spending your time with us today. We feel grateful that you're here. We're proud of you, and we can't wait to see how your English grows.
See you in the next episode, friend.
Take care, keep learning, and keep your English alive.